Cool, man. Well, I'm excited to talk about Happy Face. It looks like such an amazing film. It's going to be in select theaters January 1st and on demand digital on all major platforms January 5th. But before we get into the movie, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where'd your passion that led you to becoming a filmmaker? Was it a certain movie or show that inspired it, or something that was natural for you as a child?
No, it was not natural. I wanted to be a banker when I was a kid. Uh, I wanted to be a.
Wow, I've never heard that before. Actually,
No, honestly, it was because my mom immigrated from France to Canada. She was a single mom. She didn't have a lot of money. So as a kid, I had this kind of Wall Street dream of, like making a lot of money and taking care of her and giving her gifts. Like it's like I guess a son of an immigrant's dream. And
yeah.
yeah, I think because I went to a rich kid's school and I wasn't rich, so I was like, oh damn, so I wanted to be a banker. And my mom passed away in my early 20s, and that's going to tie into Happy Face. She died of cancer, and
Oh,
yeah, and so I was a bit at a loss. I was like, well, no, actually, as she was sick, she wanted me to pursue further studies, and I was like, I was tired of this finance thing, and I took a course in communication studies at Concordia, and there was a Jesuit film teacher there who showed us films by Kurosawa, Bergman, Fellini, and Alain Resnais, Hiroshima, Mon Amour, Hiroshima, My Love, 1950s film about Hiroshima, the bomb, and memory and loss and love. And as my mom was dying from the disease, I'm sorry, this is not like a happy topic, but such is life. And as she was dying of the disease, I was seeing those films, and it was a way for me to escape the reality, to escape like your parents gonna die, your early 20s. You're like, what's gonna happen to me? She always took care of me, and my family was all in Europe, and so I escaped into these films that were so powerful. And when she passed away, I still worked in banking for a couple of years, and then I was like, wait a minute, no, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to a feeling you get from a Rashomon by Kurosawa when you see the duels or when they talk to the ghosts, or I want to go back to a feeling you get from when you see yeah like a Bergman film where it's kind of slow at first, and then something like the Virgin Spring, and then the guy takes revenge on his daughter and he goes out, and it just blows your mind. I wanted to get those goosebumps.
okay. I can see how this gets into Happy Face now.
Yeah. So but it's true that as a kid, I was always putting on shows in the garage and making plays with my friends and kind of like ordering them around to do like things. So I guess it was a mix of that, stories, and film happened during a difficult time of my life. But I was always attracted to theater and books and fantasy stories. So that's a long version. I hope you get edit.
I love that. That was a
Uh,
great. That definitely feeds into I think inspiration for Happy Face because you directed it and co-wrote it. So, quickly tell people about it. It's this kid. Well, he's 19 years old. Stan. He dons his disguise to join this workshop group of people with kind of disfigured faces to kind of reconnect with his cancer-stricken mother. And then, of course, like eventually, it's gonna find out that he doesn't have this disguise basically on this hide. I guess whatever he's trying to hide, and things go loose. So, I guess talk about the inspiration for putting this film together, writing it first.
yeah, I mean, well, that was the inspiration. Basically, Stan is a 19-year-old kid, well, teenager, I guess,
Yeah.
who's about to lose his mom to cancer, and he feels ashamed of how she looks. Like, as a teenager, you're always ashamed of your parents. You always find them goofy and stupid, even when they have nothing wrong with them, when they're quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Uh, well, he's got this mom who used to be beautiful, and now she's quote unquote ugly. She lost her beauty, she lost her hair, she lost her breast. She sees herself as that, and he's kind of ashamed of, well, as a teenager is of that, and he's kind of like, he loves her, but he just wants to run away and escape. He can't deal with that stuff, and he feels like shit for being like that. He feels he's superficial. He feels like he's not deserving of the love and care she gave him. And so in order to change that, to remedy that, he embarks on a weird self therapy where, like you said, he disguises himself and passes as a disfigured person in a group of disfigured people, just to tame his shallowness, just to
Mm.
get close to quote unquote ugliness and disfigurement, just to be able to kind of surmount it. And he gets busted. He gets discovered by the therapist, and she wants him out. And the patients in the group are like, no, 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 let the kid stay, because the guy's a little fucked up, but he's interesting and he's kind of ballsy, and he takes their defense.
Yeah.
And in a workshop where normally everybody advocates being nice and politically correct and explaining your condition, he's like, screw that, man. If somebody tells you something, well, you just like do something stupid and shove your weird mug in their faces and let them recoil. And so it's kind of like a bit of a confrontational style, like a very
Mhm.
like teen angst confrontational style, kind of like what we felt when we listened to Bare Naked Ladies, as teenagers. And that's why
Yeah,
I
it was
got a
Nirvana for
song.
me, man.
Huh?
It was Nirvana for me,
Yeah, it's
I
true,
heard him as
it's true.
11, I was hooked.
Yeah,
All that
exactly.
teenage thing just spoke to me.
Right, right, right. So he's got a bit of that anger, and it's contagious to the other members of the group. And the other members of the group are real persons from real life that
Yeah.
are facially different or disfigured, that are playing versions of themselves in the film. So it's not a documentary, but it's kind of like we made the characters be the people it was portraying.
How did you find the cast for this? I mean, I think it's got like a hard sell to like, hey, can you find being yourself in this movie? But I also think that's also very brave, and hopefully other people they're similar to that. Maybe get some self esteem, want to get out there, maybe want to act or something too.
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky funding the film, because people were telling me, the funders here, we have public funding in Canada, and they
Yeah.
were like, "Yo, you're an average, nice-looking guy, and you good-looking guy. You want to do a film about disfigured people, like, but you're not one of them. Like, you're going to be exploiting them. You're not like part of that subgroup, right?"
Hmm.
They had this whole politically correct thing, and I was like, uh, "Yeah, okay." But then when I talked to the actual people, the associations, organizations of facially different people, I was like, I want to make a film because when my mom got messed up physically, I was ashamed of her, and I was superficial. I felt like shit. And this is my version of taming that disgust, call it disgust, or
Yeah.
and showing your faces to the world to be like, screw you. We're always voyeuristic when we see somebody that's completely different or hard to look at, and we kind of sneak peeks. I was like, the idea here is to shock the audiences and to put what they not don't like looking in their face. But after several minutes, well, another story is going to emerge, and it's going to be, a human story, and nobody's going to care about the face. So I kind of approached them with my story. I said, that's a version of me telling my story, as a kid being ashamed of his mom, and you like, I'm gonna base the characters on you now. So I've kind of like, as I found the cast, and somewhere from Montreal, Toronto, New York, LA, like all over, man. Um, I was like,
Mhm.
well, I've got this guy, E.R. Ruse, who plays Jocko, who's a cop in the movie, and he's burnt like that. And my character was supposed to be a woman. So, I changed, I rewrite, right? And that's him. I mean, he's not a cop, he's a rapper. But, but, and I kind of merged their stories, my story, and in some cases an invented story. And you have another character, Cindy Nicholson. She plays Buck, like she's about 50. She's got pimples and warts all over her face and body. She was really playing herself. She wanted to make the film because in real life, her mother was really being verbally abusive to her, and demeaned her since she was a
Oh,
child, since she got that condition.
yeah.
And she always wanted to tell her mom how shit she felt, how bad it was what she did to her, and she didn't have the guts to do it. So I set up a character in the film where she actually has to confront her mom, and she was hoping that her mom would see the film, like the film would say what she wouldn't dare to say in real life. So each cast member had a reason for doing this film.
Oh,
Like,
I love that.
uh ER was like, yo, I'm an actor, I'm a rapper, I want to be a celebrity, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, but you always play badass guys with machine guns, and you're gonna be a soft-spoken dude. And David Roche, who played Otis, the older fellow, um was super nice in the film. uh for him, he owed it to the community. He wanted to challenge himself. He was like, and he was like, I always wanted to be in movies, and that's it. So everybody had their reasons, including me. And I was very open about it, and so were they at the beginning, and that built trust. We talked about our innermost weaknesses, and and then we're like, all right, could we joke about your face? Could we talk about your face? Like what's the taboo you've heard? What have you heard in your life? So there was a weird, strange, and intense co-acting workshopping process we did together, which was almost like a therapy session.
Oh, I bet. And I'm sure it's going to be therapy for other people watching the movie too. I feel like too, you know. So
I hope so. I mean,
yeah,
it's been a kind of like good for me, and
yeah. I
I
assume
think
you're
I'm
a
a less of
professional,
a
right?
I'm less of a dick, I guess,
No, 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 no.
or I'm more open to actually. It's not a question of that. I'm more open, or to actually say what my flaws are. If I am a dick, like, and I'm thinking it, or have this adverse reaction, instead of hiding it or saying what's the right thing to say but not thinking it, I'm gonna say, look, I'm uncomfortable, or this is what I feel, or I have this idea about you. Is this true or is this bullshit? And I'm gonna just ask it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the actors in Happy Face, disfigured people, say to me. They were like, we just want people to say, like, okay, what happened? What happened to your face? Could we talk about, like, and then having, and if I don't want to talk about it, but like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Fine, but at least you get treated as a human being.
Yeah.
And so, like, you talk about the taboo. You don't pretend we're all equals and there's no taboo. I mean, look at our faces. Like, it's, people have reactions to that. And so, yeah, it was all about talking about the taboos.
Oh.
And so we got into deep psychological stuff about our flaws in our childhood. And for me and for them, it changed us. So I wanted to make watching the film to be a bit like a therapy session. Like, you have to sit through it and then see where it takes you. I mean, and if
Mm-hmm.
it does that on a few audience members, man, I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. I mean, I know it's not a perfect film, right? The next one's gonna be better. The next one's always better, but I'm like, yeah, if it could, like, make you laugh, freak you out a bit, make you cry, remind you of when you were not, the human being you want to be, when you were like a bit more, you did something that you're ashamed of vis-a-vis another person, vis-a-vis how they look. Well, it's okay. Just like, if we make you feel all that stuff and then have a blast, well, yeah, mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
it. And then there's nudity. Wait a minute. There's female nudity. Like overweight female nudity, male frontal nudity.
you can have both.
Kissing, fighting, cussing, insults. I'm trying to pitch it as an action thriller now. You see?
Yeah,
So,
comedy moments, I'm sure too. Huh?
yeah, man.
It's got it
Yeah.
all. Well, you mentioned about music earlier. You got the music from Violent Femmes in this. I mean, that's amazing to someone who like grew up in the '90s, like loving that whole music scene. How'd you get
Yeah,
them?
yeah. There's a Violent Femme song in there. There's a Fad Gadget song in there. I don't know if you know Fad Gadget. Kind
No,
of like,
are they Canadian band or
no, British 70s, 80s,
okay?
post-punk, new wave. There's some weird stuff. There's some Wagner opera in there. In the Dungeons and Dragons scene, there's all kinds of stuff. I basically threw all the stuff from my childhood. Like, I
Okay.
mean, there's Star Wars behind you. For me, it was like Star Wars and D&D. I couldn't throw Star Wars in there because of the
Yeah,
copyright. But I threw in whatever I could get my hands on the copyrights. I threw it in. So yeah,
I
that
love
was
that.
it. Yeah,
Cool. Well,
man.
so this got to go to the film circuit first. You had a special selection at Slam Dance, and Fantastic Fest. Did you get to go to any of these? I know a lot of them have been virtual this past year.
Well, look, our film premiered in Canada late 2018,
Oh,
and
okay.
and because of the hiatus of COVID, it's starting now in the US. Uh, Early 2021, I guess, late
Yeah,
2020. So
yeah.
2 years after. So yeah, I did go to Slam Dance. It was my second time. My first film, The Wild Hunt, won an audience award there like
Oh,
years ago,
wow.
2010. Yeah, so
Amazing.
so I love the festival. They're friends. The programmers and organizers are friends, and I'm like, guys, you guys gave the audience at your festival gave us an award last time I was here. So I'm like, in awe of them. And so yeah, I did go to Fantastic Fest, also in Austin, and I got to see a lot of great films. I really had a blast with the Austin crowd and the genre crowd. That's why my next films are going to be genre films. I was like, you know what? My first film was called The Wild Hunt, and it was about medieval reenactors, LARPers, who go in the woods and they lose their shit. They
Yeah.
take it too seriously. But to me, and Happy Face, to me, they were dramas. And yet they always get picked up by genre film festivals. And I get people at these genre film festivals who like the stuff I do, and I'm like, but it's not genre. I didn't do genre. I didn't set out to do. And this year in touring, I was like, you know what? I see all these genre films, and I'm like, okay, they're cool. This is cool. People like this, really? People like Midsummer? I'm like, the fuck? Sorry. And so I'm like, okay, sure. I don't want to diss people's taste, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to do a genre film that I think is cool. So the next ones there's gonna be a thriller taking place in a hospital room, which is a sequel to Happy Face, which is something also autobiographical that happened to me. Yeah, I had a bad disease and surgery years ago, and I was hospitalized, and I had a leg surgery, and I couldn't move, and I was hospitalized next to a drug dealer that had been shot by street gangs.
Oh my goodness!
And he had been moved to my room because he was afraid for his life in another room, because there were other wounded in the hospital that were from the gangs that shot him, because there was a big fight somewhere at a party. And then I realized a few days later, we were both like on morphine, that the bed numbers were inverted, and the doctors and the nurses kept mistaking him for me and vice versa. And I was sure in my delirium that the gangs would come and finish him up and get the wrong bed, because my bed was 2A, but it was 2B in the computer system on my little bracelet. And I was like to my girlfriend at the time, I was like, I gotta get out and I take my laptop, take this. And I was losing my mind, right? Because I was on morphine.
I can see that being a movie where they come kidnap you, taking the person or
something. So that's one of them. It's a hospital thriller. And then I got another one. It's called One Flesh. That's going to be more of an action horror. That's going to be like to the hilt. Post-COVID, Earth gets rid of its main parasite, mankind, and it's just like in a little village in Quebec, a remote village in Quebec, and it's going to be.
I love that. Then after that, you're going to be doing a Star Wars movie?
No, maybe not. I'm too old for this shit. I'm too difficult. No, I'm too difficult to be like.
If John calls and says, "Hey, you want to direct one of the episodes of Mandalorian?" and you'd be like, "Nah, sorry."
Yeah, well, no.
I love Happy Face. I love your take on one of the episodes.
Thanks, man. Look, you know what? Now at this point, after doing so many movies where you don't get really a salary, you put all your salary in the movie.
Oh yeah,
if somebody asks
the next project, you know.
So, no, now I'm like, if somebody would pay me to direct a Mandalorian, I'd be like, yeah, sure, yes, sir. You want me to do that plot where useless side venture, like the Critical Drinker says? I'm like, sure, I'll do it, man. Oh no, but seriously, I did a Star Wars commercial, luckily, a year and a half ago, where we actually got to London in the Millennium Falcon. They rebuilt the cockpit, and I got to shoot a little Bell. Bell is our little wireless telephone thing in Canada, like in the States too. And I got to shoot a thing in the Millennium Falcon. So no Star Wars star, but I got to actually play with the things, and the guys were explaining, and I got to break a piece of it by accident because I tried to swing in the seat, but I grabbed the wrong handle and I ripped it off, and the guy used super glue, and he said, "Don't worry about it, kid."
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was my
huh? I'm gonna do the same thing too. Trying to bang it, making the project work.
Yeah. So I actually took my shirt off, and I have a picture sitting in the Millennium Falcon cockpit like that with my shirt off, just looking like I'm freaked out. And I have it framed somewhere in one of my boxes. I'm like, that's my souvenir.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. I'm so excited to see Happy Face when it hits select theaters, virtual theaters, and also on digital. January 5th through Dark Star Pictures. Is there a website or social media wise we can stay up to date with you and this project itself?
Look, there's an Instagram for Happy Face, and I suck at Instagram, so I have about a week and a half to kind of learn how to do stories and shit like that. Yeah. Happy Face Film on Instagram, Happy Face the Movie on Facebook, happyfacefilm.com, I think, is our website. But if not, man, just stay tuned to Bionic Buzz.
Personal social media or anything?
Yeah, Alexandre Franchi, which is my full name. My last name is written Franchi, CHI. It's like, it's Franchi. It's Italian. Anyway, so Corsican. So yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. No worries. It's been cool.
I'll talk to you next year in future projects, especially the hospital one you're talking about. That sounds great. Yeah, well, I've got to get it funded. That's where we're at now. That's waiting for the money. Yeah. All right, man. Take care. All right, you too, man. Take care. Bye-bye.